It's interesting how as the world of Final Fantasy VII has expanded through its various entries, the relationship between Aerith and Zack has moved closer to centre stage. Today, in the context of the FF7 compilation and remake, it's hard to imagine that in the original game, their relationship was almost haunting by virtue of its absence. Aerith spoke briefly of her ex-boyfriend, a soldier who had died some time ago, a soldier just like Cloud. There's something unspoken in the echoes of that fateful encounter between Aerith and Cloud. She's drawn to him, and on a conscious level, we understand that this is a character dealing with grief, and she finds some comfort in being around Cloud, who, of course, in some small or great way, reminds her of her lost boyfriend. Zack remains a mystery for much of the game, unless you stumble upon the basement of Nibelheim Mansion and learn how he lived, for just a few moments in time. A glimpse of the man who inspired Cloud, a glimpse of the lost soul who Aerith loved, his painful death, and then gone. A ghost, a shadow, and by the time you see this echo of the past, if you even stumble upon it, consider that Aerith has also passed on. Given all that, I understand why people are interested in Aerith and Zack, but what I don't understand is the deep obsession for seeing them together on screen. Through the FF7 compilation and remake, Square Enix seemed determined to bring the characters together. In particular, Remake seems poised to make their romance and reunion a pivotal plot element, but it comes at the expense of the story. If there was one relationship that was meant to take centre stage in the original game, it was Cloud and Tifa. Aerith and Zack's lost relationship serves to enhance the life that Cloud and Tifa share, and the possibility of future, of companionship, of living. Two childhood friends reunited, surviving through trauma. But the desire to reunite Aerith and Zack ties into this obsession with characters over story, something which I've noticed more and more on social media as the years have gone on. Out of all the Final Fantasy games, it's a problem that seems strongest in FF7, as it's become a series in itself, reaching a huge network of fans, who are a mix of both old and new. Plus of course there's a rich and diverse cast list in the game, probably the best in the FF series. Looking online, conversations around characters involve wanting the very best, picturesque outcome for them. It doesn't matter if that ending is earned through the story or feels satisfying in the grand context of the plot. Instead, it's almost like some fans have tuned into a real-life documentary just because they're invested in one person, and the story, the things that are happening to them, is the villain out to make their hero's life more difficult. The obsession with keeping Aerith alive this time, or the thrill of getting the chance to save her, has huge fan support, something which I find interesting because her shock death and absence throughout the rest of the original game was one of the ingredients that made FF7 so iconic, and helped propel the narrative into a storytelling and emotional stratosphere that had not been explored to that extent in video games, at least not to such a high standard. To undermine what makes FF7 what it is something I struggle to understand. All for the reason of saving a character who you enjoyed. I wouldn't go back and change the original Star Wars to save Ben Kenobi, just because I thought he was a cool character. His death had meaning, it shaped the storytelling structure. While the cries for Aerith's survival ring out loud across the fan zone, Zack's shock return to the FF7 universe has been welcomed and praised by many. I get how people fall in love with characters, and their wishes and desires come from a warm place, but it always comes at a cost. And time again, we've seen that listening to fans can create problems. It makes media too self-aware. It's the writer's faults fundamentally. Whether by fan pressure or just a lack of inspiration, writers tend to try to answer questions of their own work that are best left unanswered. Remember when fans were disappointed with the TV show Lost? That's because the answers served up by the writers were rarely as interesting as the questions. And Square Enix's answer to what were Aerith and Zack like as a couple leads us down a vapid road. Fan questions like, how did Aerith and Zack meet? Well, Crisis Core had the answer. Zack falls from the Midgar plate and crashes through a church roof, landing on a certain flower bed. Is that what constitutes good writing at Square Enix? So they're telling us that Cloud later meets Aerith in the exact same way, crashing through the exact same rooftop.
It's like poetry, so if they rhyme, every stanza kind of rhymes with the last one. Hopefully it'll work.
Bad poetry maybe, lazy writing. Who sits down and thinks, let's just have them meet the exact same way? People will think it's a cool nod to the original game. You know what would have been cooler? Literally anything else. How about Square Enix's answer to what is Zack like around his girlfriend? Because that's apparently something fans want to know for some reason. And the answer is...
It's been a while, huh? Long time no see. How you been?
Okay, so the most cliche thing basically. You've seen this scene in 100 films, 100 TV shows. What about this is in any way interesting? What does this tell us about Zack? We get it. He really likes Aerith. He cares about making an impression. But there's a million more unique ways of showing that. So what we're getting here is nothing of quality. Nothing that you could hold up as even coming close to the standards of the original FF7. And all this is why I say never listen to what fans are saying when it comes to plotting your story. And what else is this but blatant fan service? Do you honestly think Aerith and Zack's move closer towards centre stage would have evolved naturally if not for the never-ending support this power couple enjoy among fan communities? Well, you know why Aerith and Zack are held in such high regard in the first place? Because the original game did such a great job of making you feel the absence, the echo of a love lost. How is it possible that their relationship worked better in the original game with 0 screen time? Think about that. So yeah, don't listen to your fans. Don't let them dictate your plot. And yes, I do see the irony in what I'm saying, given Square Enix didn't listen to the majority of the FF fanbase and create a near one-to-one remake. And of course I've complained about that fact at length, but the point is, don't listen to your fans if you can create something better. The trick is to give them something they didn't know they wanted, and unfortunately, I do not want Remake. But I get that Aerith is a princess to many and Zack her prince, and if Remake has any goal in mind, it's bringing them together, and believe me, it will stop at nothing to realise that fan want. Keep Zack in the ground. His memory, his echo through cloud, spoke 1,000 times louder. But we are where we are. This is the era of leaving no stone unturned, even the ones that didn't need moving in the first place.